What's up, everybody hanging out with us? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to our card review stream for the Warhammer 40k set, which is due to drop now in November, which is, I believe, November 14th. Is that right, Ben?
Yes,
I think it's November 14th, which is pretty close, surprisingly. But Ben, you're with us, and you're not in the U.S., right?
No, I am not.
No,
Thanksgiving was in Canada ages ago.
So welcome, Ben. Welcome, Ben. You're here nonetheless, and I'm excited to have you here because we're going to talk about these cards.
I'm excited to be here.
Sweet. Well, let's go over the rating system. We're going to do an A through F rating, and if we give a card an A, then that is us basically saying that that card is has a possibility, a high chance of making it to the high-level meta of Dice Masters, things that you would run at high-level WKOs or Nationals or Worlds.
Yeah, even if it's not going to be, well, it's almost guaranteed to be run by someone at the top 8 or,
somewhere in one of those highly competitive events. So that's an A, and that is the least likely to get rated because those cards are few and far between. And in Dice Masters, it's really one of those things where all of the cream of the crop really do rise to the top and eliminate everything else because you only have 8 slots on your team. As for B cards, we're talking about cards that are good semi-competitive cards, things that you want to run a lot because they're good, but they just don't cut it quite enough. They're not quite good enough to make it into those top level things. You bring them to a casual tournament or something like that, and you're going to do really, really well. This is a win con on a lot of teams.
Yeah, I think they're like cards that make up the 6th, 7th, and 8th slot on your team, right? You get the big cards that you're going to win, and then the good utility cards that deserve to be there, but aren't going to be the stars of your...
They're cards that they're sometimes cards that you want to build around as well. So maybe not cut into the top meta, but they're definitely cards that encourage you to build this sort of team, because of this really pretty decent ability, really awesome ability in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
The C cards, I think, are good all around. Like you said, 6, 7, and 8 card slots on semi-competitive teams or casual teams. Decent cards on casual teams. These are cards that you do not mind running. Cards that you will reach for in certain cases, but may not be the first purchase on your team or the second purchase on your team because you're going for that win con first. Cards that are pretty decent all around and may not be super duper flashy.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yep. D cards to me, and this is I think where we sometimes branch off, but D cards to me are cards that they exist and you could totally buy them and they would have some sort of an impact, but there are cards that do the same thing better and or are pretty fringe in general. Cards that may not see play most of the time or see purchasing most of the time if you put it on a team.
Yeah, I also put cards where you kind of get the same ability as previous generations, but the previous ones did it better.
Yeah.
So why play this one when you can play the other one?
It's the card that you could put on a team, but you're really only putting it there because you want to give yourself a challenge rather than playing a card that is clearly one that you want to put onto your team because it's good.
Yeah, or
it may
like
just be fun
or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. It may just be fun to run that card because it has some sort of an attachment to you or something like that. And then F cards are cards that you want to immediately take out of the box and then put on your coffee table and put your drink on because it's got no more purpose besides that. Cards that may be great for art projects. Maybe you glue it to a poster board for your child's art project or create a collage with. Maybe you cut it out and do that cool 3D printed thing that people were doing where they cut out like 40 of the same card. Though now that would be a lot more expensive, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah, that would be cool. Yeah.
Those were cool. Those were really cool.
Well, yeah, I remember those. Yeah, they're also cards I just don't put in sleeves. These are...
yeah, exactly.
They just go straight into the binder.
Anyway, that's the A through F rating system. We're going to go through everything in the Battle for Ultramar box. So everything that you could possibly get in Battle for Ultramar, we will give an A through F rating that includes the basic actions. So we're going to go alphabetically, which is strange because it starts with F of all places. But this is also sort of a brand new IP, and a lot of these are really weirdly named, so they're going to be really fun to pronounce. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Ben, you ready?
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right, let's kick it off. So we're going to start with Fetid Bloat Drone, the Flesh Mower.
On the surface of it, I gave it a D+. I couldn't think of anything personally, but I feel like if there are characters that trigger when blocked or when attacks with really high fielding that you want to keep in the field, it might be useful for that.
No, I have this as a D as well. I think this is one of those cards, especially at 6, where it just doesn't do enough for you. Fetid Bloat Drone Plague Probe. This one's a lot more interesting. This one's a 5-drop shield character that says, while Fetid Bloat Drone is active, when an opposing sidekick or level 1 character die is KO'd, you may field a sidekick die from your used pile. That's just an opposing character. But then you get this cool global ability that says pay a shield. Once per turn on your turn, sacrifice a sidekick character die. So sacrificing, for those that don't know, is putting a sidekick into your used from field zone. So after you've done both of those things, then you draw and roll 2 dice, place them in your reserve. So that's kind of cool.
Yes, it is cool. I think the global is the most shiny thing here, and it needs some working with to test it. Obviously, in a spot, right, where you get to draw 4 instead of 2.
That being said, I give this a B+.
Yeah, I did as well. I'm just not convinced how useful the global will be. It needs messing around with for me to definitely give it an A.
Next up, we've got the one that you were mentioning earlier. This is Putrid Explosion. What do you got for this one?
I was just very excited by this one.
Yeah, so it gives deadly. It's got deadly, excuse me.
It does, and I think this one is a tricky card to rate, actually, because when you look at it, first off, it's very kind of, wow, this is really good. It has a caveat of they don't have to just block the Fetid Bloat Drone, so there's no guarantee.
Yes. Whatever it gets blocked by will die. But that doesn't mean you have to necessarily block this. It does force all of your opponent's stuff to block something, though.
It's an excellent way to remove your opponent's field if that's the only thing you need to be attacking with.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, if you just push with this, then they do have to block. All of them have to block this.
Clears their whole field. So if you can do, so I was thinking in tandem with something like Wonder Woman or Madame Mask.
5 cost made me put this at a C, but the fact that you can pull out all control is a great point that I didn't really think about. So I'll give it a C+. I'll bump it up because it's like right on the edge. Because of that 5 cost, it's a little hard to get to.
Yeah, I went for a B. I think, again, this is another card you need to mess around with and see how useful it can be on one of those teams.
All right, let's move on to a character that I am interested in. Several of these Lord of Contagions. The first one that we have is Man Reaper. Lord of Contagion Man Reaper, and it's a 5-drop bolt character with those same double affiliations. A 5/5 on top, so it's a little low for a 5-drop on the attack stats and defensive stats. But it says, while Lord of Contagion is active, when you field a I forgot that thing is called
the Plague Marines.
Yeah, there you go. When you field the plaguey things, I don't know. Character, I should really know that. Other than Lord of Contagion, any of those dice other than Lord of Contagion deal 1 damage to target opponent.
I feel like it's a little bit slow. There are a bunch of cheap Plague Marines, which is good.
Yep. Yes, there are.
I was at a C. This is a fun, casual win condition.
So I give this like a B. If I wanted to talk to myself, like take pie in the sky out of it and tell you really what it is, it's maybe more like a C+, B-. But my heart of hearts says it's a B, just because I like the casualness of it, and it's pretty powerful overall, having messed with it. The next one is a 4-drop Plague Reaper. So it drops in stats, in purchase cost. And it says, while it is active when a sidekick character die is KO'd, all other character dice get +1/+1. And that's both players' character dice get that buff, which is kind of interesting.
My main issue with it is your opponent can utilize it as well as you can, I guess. Especially if you're using something like magic missiles to trigger it, or like a basic action to trigger it. I gave it a C.
I see this being good if you throw it onto exactly like a board sweep, seething corruption staff team. On the right team, I could see this being like a B, and that's what I gave it. I gave this a B. So I could see this being a way for you to build a staff team that doesn't require you to put on specific, like, kind of high-cost cards that may be good for, pushing through on a staff team. So it could be something there. I say B. The last one has range 2. It's a 5-drop again, and it says, while Lord of Contagion is active, when a damaged character die, either player's blocks, KO it.
Yeah, it depends how good range is, I suppose. I'm not particularly sold on range at the moment. I know a lot of people are very excited for it.
I see it being sort of a more complicated version of like spot removal, like a single target removal thing, because it has the range keyword built in alongside of this caveat where it makes your opponent choose, well, if I block with this, it gets KO'd no matter what, or I let something go through so this thing doesn't go away. That being said, I don't think it's, hugely impactful. I give this like a C.
No, yeah, I just don't. I gave it D+. The range 2 is interesting if range is good. The rest of it, I don't think that secondary ability is ever going to make a difference.
All right, let's move on to a card I really want to hear you talk about. You ready? This is Malignant Plague Caster, a 5-drop. This is Blades of Putrefaction. So it's got an 042, 152, 262 stat line. And it says, when fielded, reroll each opposing level 1 or level 2 character die. KO any dice that roll an energy face and return the rest to the field zone. Your opponent may pay 1 per character die to ignore this ability in its entirety for that character die.
It's not quite as good as Rare Batman or Umber Hulk was.
Sure.
But has probably more favorable fielding costs and a lower stat line defensively, while still having quite a big attack.
Meaning you could cycle it easier.
Cycle it easier, right? Yeah, sure. And I like the fact that they'd have to pay 1 energy, so they have to save an energy just in case you field it.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is a perfect kind of card to have on a collector team.
And so what did you give this, by the way?
C+.
Yeah. I think that's probably about where it should be. I was a little more tepid on it, but it does say opposing level 1 or level 2, so it doesn't reroll your stuff, which is nice. So I would go something like a C-, just because there's a lot of caveats that just get around this. Like, say the one thing that you want to reroll, that you really need to reroll is out there, and they just have 1 energy. Well, then there you go. Or it's level 3. They don't even have to worry about it. There's a lot of little caveats that make it not quite optimal, like those cards you mentioned. And sure, maybe it shouldn't be. Maybe it shouldn't be optimal. But that being said, it feels like a lot of hoops to jump through to get that 1 thing or 2 things removed.
But I mean, again, it gets rid of a bunch of sidekicks if they have a bunch of. It's a way to thin their field rather than.
It definitely gets rid of a bunch of sidekicks, and on a collector team, you just collector it in, like you said. The next Malignant Plague Caster is Miasma of Pestilence. Yes, I really wanted to say it that way. 5-drop, when fielded, reroll target opposing character die. KO it if it shows an energy face, otherwise return it to the field zone on its rolled level. So this is literal single target removal right here.
Yep.
And let's see, what did I give this? I'll start. This is kind of cool. For the same reasons that you mentioned, it makes a good little removal tool because you can cycle it, right? It's easy to cycle with that 2 defense. Yep. I gave this a C- as well, just because maybe I'd up that to a C, just because it is single target removal. And it's more guaranteed. You pick something, and then if they roll it, then they do, and if they don't, they don't. It's basically like rolling Billy Club, right? Mm-hmm. Using Billy Club, but it's on a body.
Yeah. I'm less excited about this one than you are, which is kind of we flip-flopped on these 2. But it's not terrible. I think it's a D, or I can see why you gave it a C.
It's playable. Certainly playable.
Yeah, definitely. You could put it on draft, I think it would be.
The last Malignant Plague Caster says Putrescent Vitality, and it's got frag, the frag keyword. How do you feel about frag?
Yeah, I'm not that excited about frag at all. Maybe frag is good, so maybe I gave it a D. I'm giving it an F for now, just for my feelings on frag.
Yeah, frag doesn't scream really powerful to me. It just doesn't do enough, and it's really bad. I'm with you, it's an F. Moving on to Mortarion, Host of Plagues, a 7-drop shield. When fielded, deal damage to all opposing players and character dice equal to Mortarion's level. So if you field him on a level 1, obviously deals 1, 2, or 3 based on the level. It's also got a global that says pay a shield. Target character die gets +1 defense. So you could technically give something defense and then field this to not wipe it. But it's a 7-drop. Yeah, it's an 8/9 on top. And it's kind of cool that it's dealing 3 and maybe wiping some like low defense statted boards. And then maybe you get through with 8. And then you deal 11 damage in 1 turn. That's like best case scenario. It's pretty cool. But it's a 7-drop.
On a 3 cost, something with a 2, 3, 4 stat line.
Yeah.
This is going well, right?
Oh my gosh, that would be really sick.
With some spin-ups. I mean,
that
this
would be
is doing
super
good.
sick.
I gave it an F/D.
Oh, really? I'd give it a D though.
It's
Definitely. It would be fun. Someone mentioned in the chat it would be fun on a casual team. I agree. It would be fun on a casual team.
Yep.
Next one is Primarch of the Death Guard. I'm pretty sure that's Primarch. And it says, while Mortarion is active, prevent the first damage to you from each source each turn. And after digging around in other card rulings and card wordings, this is similar to Iron Golem in that it will only prevent the first point of damage dealt to you from each source each turn, not the entirety of the source. So if you took like 5, it would mean you would only take 4 instead of taking 0.
Oh, I gave it an F/D.
What did I give it? Yeah, I'm with you. Let's go F/D for that. Yeah, this is worse than the last one, I think. So I'll go F with you. The last one's kind of interesting. It creates an interesting board state. When Mortarion blocks, blocked character dice deal no combat damage this turn. So if you had some sort of a stalemate on the board, like everyone had 8 characters apiece and you had Mortarion as one of your 8, then he can't attack. Like your opponent just can't attack because you block with everything and your guys take nothing and theirs takes everything, and then you just win next turn. You know what I mean? So this one's a little bit more interesting to me. It's pretty decent in draft. That's why I gave it a C, I think.
There's just way too many combat tricks, aren't there? I guess is the thing.
That's true. You could pull it out.
Yeah, I mean, if this gets on the board and you're playing against it's useless against like an infiltrate team or an unblockable Ant-Man team.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. Against most constructed level teams, it's not really going to